What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel for another conversation. And this one is going to be about the holidays. I mean, we kind of are in that season, so just kind of in the spirit of Christmas, we're going to be talking about this. This one has been on my mind for a while. It's been a personal struggle for me over the years of how do you reacclimate with holidays. And this was for many reasons for me, not just as a person who was no longer a believer, but also a person who was coming into terms with what it means to be an African in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, what are these holidays to me? In the words of, I believe it was Frederick Douglass, what is the 4th of July to a slave? So holidays have been a very interesting thing in the Martin household, and for the most part, I think we've found a good balance over the years, and we've done well. I typically concluded that if the focus is family or community, I'm all in. Anything outside of that, you're gonna have to miss me with. But we're going to jump into this, and I think we're going to be able to. I think we're going to be able to pull a pretty decent conversation out of this. So, but before we get started, of course, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell. Consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this community, channel, or content in any way that makes sense for you. And share this video with somebody who you think this will have an impact in their lives. And then, of course, check out our products, man. We have merchandise and we have books. Our merchandise are available. You can get connected to our merchandise directly here from YouTube, and our books, you can check them out on Amazon. So I think I've kind of hit everything I needed to hit. Let's kind of jump into this. I started a brief conversation in our Discord campus about Christmas out of a sincere curiosity of how other non-believers approach the holiday season. And that is something that's becoming very interesting for me and even somewhat therapeutic, is that for the past 10 years that I've been an atheist, I haven't really had any other atheists to talk to other than the ones that were living in my own house and were kind of dealing with similar experiences. So it is very interesting to kind of hear from other people and what their experiences are and what their approaches are. You know, I used to give the illustration that we can all be electrocuted from the same socket, but the electrocution will have a different manifestation for each and every one of us. And that's kind of like what deconversion is. You have some people who deconvert and never want to touch Christmas or anything like it again. And you have other people who deconvert and still go to Christmas celebrations every year religiously, dare I say it. So I asked a question, and the question was, good morning, community. I'm curious, as we're rolling into the Christmas season, how has deconversion impacted your approach to the holidays? And the answers to these questions were varied, and so I'd like to share a few. One person responded with, it's still raw for me. So anything that is a religious holiday, I don't observe, including Halloween, Valentine's, Mothering Sunday, Saints' Day, to name a few of the less obvious ones. Another person said, I have mixed feelings about Christmas music after deconverting. Having those memories and emotions so ingrained into my psyche during my formative years makes those songs bring up good nostalgic feelings. However, having the meaning of the songs be about the worship of a god, particularly one responsible for so much harm, puts a particular stank on those feelings. Music has such a formative impact on our minds, akin to smell. I find myself singing those songs and enjoying music, and until I listen to what I'm saying, and it ruins it. I can relate. I don't have particular issues with any holidays, but that may be partly that I have enough distance, or that how we treated the holidays in my family changed after my parents split up. I've been working on figuring out what should be the replacement for me personally. I do think there's something to be said for important commemorative occasions to come together as a community. And I agree. For many of this, Christmas has been different for me because it's not one that, other than the music, that was hard for me. As a matter of fact, in my newest book, Black Non-Believer Next Door, I spent some time talking about a decision I made about Christmas and how it was kind of like the red flags that, oh, this dude is officially an atheist. You know what I'm saying? Like he can't believe in God if he's talking about Christmas like this. It was that type of thing. So it wasn't a struggle for me to let go of Christmas. I let go of Christmas, and again, I talk about this in my book for economic reasons. As a person who, Christmas wasn't financially advisable, in my perspective, for my family to participate in. And I made that decision. I said, no, when we get there, we'll get there. Until then, we'll just love each other every year. You know what I'm saying? Every day, we'll love each other. And if we get some gifts, we'll get some gifts. That's no problem. And it's not like some years we didn't get a tree. There were years that we absolutely did get a tree. The important thing was we just didn't have the pressure to go out and spend, $5,000 on, 5,000 plus dollars on presents and stuff like that when we were barely affording a roof over our head. And we were looking around and it's like, oh, that's kind of what everybody is doing. We don't want to do that, so let's stop. And our kids, we have bright kids, so we don't have to play that game. So we didn't. But the music was another thing, and so I did identify with what one of the people were saying about, you think about the music and you start singing the songs, and there was a song that it comes. Oh, come on, you faithful! That was one of my favorite. One of my favorites. I was gonna go to American Idol in high school, kind of dating myself a little bit. But I was gonna audition for American Idol, and it was actually my choral director. She was gonna take like three or four of us from the class to audition, and I was gonna do "Oh Come All You Faithful." It was one of my favorite songs, and I loved it because I had heard so many people do so many different renditions. Uh, oh come all ye faithful. So you can do so much with that. Joyful and triumphant, oh come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of the. Then you're like, oh, this is bullshit. See, you be into it, you be feeling it, and then you be like, damn, this right here is some bullshit. So I 100% identify with what that person was saying. That there's some mixed feelings about it. Some of the music was great, like it, and me as a musician, as an artist, as a performer, as a person with a poetic soul, as a creative, as a person who enjoys, music and stories, even when they're fiction. I actually don't have a problem singing fictional music. And I think I've talked about this in one of my shorts before. I don't have for a while as an atheist, I still participated with praise and worship teams. For a while as an atheist, I still preached. To me, it was like Comic Con. It's like cosplay. It was easy. It was easy. It would have been harder to do something like that if I was just backslidden. If I was just backslidden and I still believed in God, then I'd be like, man, you playing with the Lord. And now if you be like, bro, you playing with the Lord, I'd be like, duh, that's what you do with an imaginary friend. Come on, guy. But so I really don't have that issue. My issue is not that this is fiction, is that this is fiction that has been propagated as truth, you know, up until like right now that people still so it's one thing for me to be singing oh I just can't wait to be king because I don't have to worry about anybody believing in Simba and feeling the need to be out here revenging or avenging Mufasa. So I don't have to worry about that. But like when I sing any type of Christmas music, because let's be clear, Christmas music is a lot more religious than most gospel music. Most gospel music feels no need to appeal to the religious undertones. It just needs you to feel bad about yourself, you know, or like And it's not even like feel bad about yourself, feel bad about yourself. It's just like feel bad about yourself because like you're a victim, but God loves you, you know. But Christmas songs, they're like very, very in your face. God is the most excellent thing in the whole world. Everybody should bow before him. It's like that stuff. That's Christmas music, you know. And so again, like, oh, come all you faithful. And by the time come and behold him, born the King of angels, and like, let's come, let us adore him. And I'm like, nah, I'm a pass. I'm a pass. Like, honestly, if it ain't my child, I'm not interested in going to see the baby anyway. I'm just gonna be real with you. If it's not my child or my grandbabies, which I shouldn't have any grandbabies anytime soon, but if it's not my child or my grandbabies, I wouldn't even know why you calling me to come see your child. Come and behold him. No, I'm gonna pass. I got work to do. Send me a picture. Why I want to come see your baby? This is I think you've taken this relationship too far. The dynamics of this relationship, you have now moved them where they should not be. This is unhealthy territory. Listen, don't be inviting everybody to come see your baby when it's just born. That's not good for the baby. I don't even think the doctors let you do that anymore, especially after COVID. I'm sorry, I had a little tangent there. That's just something that I do. Okay, so um all right, so I read everybody else's. So now I'll admit that the holidays have been a struggle for me since deconversion, for a variety of reasons that all ultimately stem from a lack of tangible attachment to the festivities. I've always felt very much like an outsider, even as a believer at most holiday festivities, because the why was never quite made clear. So even I didn't enjoy Easter and Christmas even when I was a pastor. The only thing I enjoyed about, or I'll put it this way, I didn't start enjoying Easter until like the last 6 to 7 years or 5 to 6 years of pastoring for me. And that's because by that moment I was already kind of my own dude doing my own thing. And so we were a very authentic type of situation. And I didn't feel the need to preach the death, burial, and resurrection and what they say, the 7 5 sayings or whatever. I wasn't interested in that. All that stuff used to bore the fuck out of me. And I just didn't find any utility in it, and that's the one thing about, honestly, that mega churches kind of messed me up. They made me an atheist. I just saw too much behind doors, and that became a major part of who I was just like things have to work, so things have to have a sort of utility for me. But even when I was a child, I had a very low attachment. I felt like I had to pretend to enjoy these holidays, or people wouldn't think I was normal. And it wasn't just holidays; it was birthdays, like really anything like that. Because I'm just like, but why though? Like I know we're doing it, and I know you're saying it's fun, but I need you to understand. For me, it's not fun for me if I don't know why the fuck I'm doing it. So I'm just, I'm not one of those people that just like, okay, put a blindfold on and just do this. No, trust me, it's fun. No, I'm, I've been incredibly averse to that type of shit. So I don't want to trust you that it's fun. I want to understand why I should think this is fun. Um, or why I should think this is necessary. Like, what's the deeper story behind it? What's the reason? And I was like that as a kid, like with shit like Groundhog Day. How did we come to this? Like, why are we doing this? Are we really like? I used to be aggravated every fucking year when we had to like do little reports in middle school and elementary school on Groundhog Day, and I'm like, we can't be doing this. I was also very agitated when we had to do stuff for Christmas or do stuff for Halloween or do stuff for St. Patrick's Day or any of these things. Because for me at the time, and I get it, I didn't understand. And some of these things I do have a better understanding of. But at the time, like, no, I need you to understand. I need you to explain this to me. Because just giving it to me like as fun, I know why it's fun for everybody else, but that's not what's fun to me. I need to understand it for it to be fun for me. For me, it felt like a break in my education, because I was one of those kids who did enjoy school for a very long time. And so I'm like, but why are we stopping the color? I thought we had moved past color. Why we coloring again? I thought we were doing that in second grade. I thought we was finished with the coloring pages. No, I'm just, I still enjoy coloring. Like I draw. They're not good, but I do it. Um, but since then, I've spent some time exploring and engaging many secular alternatives to holidays and evaluating both their utility and their efficacy. So, in the spirit of the season, let's talk about Christmas. Secular alternatives to Christmas often serve as inclusive, meaningful celebrations that honor community, generosity, and reflection without relying on religious narratives. Instead of simply ignoring the holiday season, these alternatives acknowledge the cultural significance of this time of year while allowing individuals who are non religious or who are detached from the traditional Christian meaning of Christmas to participate in festivities that emphasize values like togetherness, empathy, gratitude, and hope. They foster a sense of continuity and tradition without requiring alignment with any type of religious doctrine. So, one example of such secular alternative to Christmas is the winter solstice celebration, which that one makes pretty good sense to me. You know, it's just observing the shortest day of the year and the return of longer daylight, symbolizing renewal and the cyclical nature of life. Winter solstice festivals predate Christianity and are universal in many cultures. Embracing them allows communities to celebrate natural rhythms and seasonal change without invoking religious themes. This preserves the sense of a special occasion during the dark winter months. Now, in this way, I want to kind of hit this a little bit because if you imagine as humanity was getting to know each other, and I do often remind people that up until about 300 to 400 years ago, and it might be less than that, but up until about 300 to 400 years ago, we were always killing each other. Like it was just killing each other on sight. On sight, we were killing each other. That had been the majority of our interactions since our evolution as a species. But just imagine if, as humanity began meeting each other and realizing that we shared so many of these festivals, how much of a global rhythm that would have put us in as a species. But instead, because when we did start meeting each other globally, even though we did have some of these same festivals um, for some of the very same reasons, we chose to attach these festivals to our deities. And then our deities become majors of difference. But in this way, and this is why when I think of winter solstice, I think of these as global celebrations. These are celebrations that are not based on necessarily a calendar year, even though it'll kind of do that too. But are celebrations that are based on global changes, global seasonal changes, which means they're not just based on winter, spring, fall, and all that stuff. But it's just an interesting thought that it would be a great idea to see more celebrations that we could participate in that were more localized. Those are awesome, you know. Oh man, and I can see a lot of advantages in the secular community having more globalized special days. And I mean, even the idea of holiday is kind of an interesting term. It has its own baggage. Um, but yeah, so another one, and this one I had to look up because this one came up in the Discord conversation, and it was Festivus, and I was like, "Oh, I like that name." Let me see if this is in my notes here, but it's a Festivus for the rest of us is the kind of idea. But it's originated as a humorous alternative to traditional holidays, and it was popularized by the sitcom Seinfeld, which I did do a little bit of research there. And the person who played a part in writing that episode, this was apparently a holiday or an alternative that his own father had created. Um, but it involves, as far as what has been made popular, it has involved the lighthearted rituals like airing of grievances and feats of strength. Now, such tongue-in-cheek celebrations acknowledge the season's communal energy, but sidestep religious narratives entirely. It can bring people together in laughter, breaking the tension that can arise from ignoring the holidays together. Um, then there's also, because I told you I wanted to give you a few. There's human light or humanist celebrations. Human light, which they typically celebrate on December the 23rd, explicitly highlights humanist values, reason, compassion, and hope for a better future. And this is done through gatherings, feast, and gift giving focused on human potential and ethical living. This allows people to celebrate shared human ideals, community progress, and moral aspirations. Instead of bowing out of year end festivities, participants reinforce solidarity and positive values as a global human value. And this is a great. I actually love this idea that they're still having the gift giving aspect in it, because I'll be honest with you, gift giving was a problem for me with Christmas, and I think we've talked about this in a few of our Sunday session conversations. Is because ultimately it just becomes driven by commercialism. We're going to get people what's popular, not what's useful, not what's helpful. And so I definitely became that person who was more focused on um, giving good gifts. We're gonna be good gift givers, good gift givers. All right, G3, come on now. But we want to be good gift givers, and so the secular community could use this opportunity as to make gift giving a powerful social tool. And that's me. We kind of talked about this today in today's Sunday session. Yes, this is pre-recorded because I know you're not going to be watching this on Sunday, but you're not going to be watching this on Sunday, but I'll be in LA the day that you're watching this. So, but definitely talked about um, this this aspect of needing important days to celebrate. And when it comes to gift giving, it gives us an opportunity to reapproach how we do gift giving. Because there are small things that we can do that can have powerful outcomes. And one of my biggest critiques of Christmas from an economic perspective is that that when it comes to poverty communities who feel the pressure to participate, and to be clear, that pressure is often positive, but that doesn't make it good. Oh, everybody deserves a Christmas. You get that positive pressure. Now, that sounds nice. Everybody deserves a Christmas. But then you have a struggling mother and father or a struggling single parent who barely has enough money to get by, and all they can think about is everybody deserves a Christmas. And so they're going to go out there and put their family further and further in debt. And then none of the things that they actually get are assets. All of it will be liabilities. From a purely financial stewardship perspective, that's irresponsible. It's irresponsible. Unless we're going to be the type of society who pumps out that type of media. Everybody deserves a Christmas. And we actually make sure that everybody can afford to buy $5,000 worth of presents for the kids, you know? But there's a lot of nuance into making shit like that happen. Some people only have one kid. Some people have 6 or 7 of them motherfuckers. I got 4, you know? Some people have none. Should they have to give your kids a Christmas? Well, they had a Christmas, assuming. You know, those are the type of conversations that breeds to, you know. But the truth of the matter is, okay, so because I'm coming back, because we're talking about the social utility, because I kind of rabbit trailed off of this idea that these human light or humanist celebrations still include the gift giving, and rabbit trailed off the idea that gift giving can be a powerful social tool if we don't get caught up in the commercialism aspect of it or even the romanticism of it aspect. So I'm just giving this to you and you should like me because I bought you a gift. No, let's fuck that shit. Okay. No, I'm giving you this gift because I thought this gift would be useful for you. You know, um, I think we need to take meaningful out of the world of woo and put meaningful back into utility. And when I say that, I'm not saying it can't be emotionally meaningful. I'm not saying that. But if it's emotionally meaningful, that needs to be the thing. Doesn't need to be meaningful for like just some other reason. And if everything you get me is emotionally meaningful, I kind of feel like you might think I have some emotion problems. And just talk to me about that shit. You know. Um, but no, so the big point is there are things we can do as a community that can become powerful tools during these moments. So when we're reapproaching what we do for these important days that we decide to attach ourselves to or participate in, we can retool these things to actually have the utility that many of these days once had. You know, so many times you had these harvest festivals and celebrations, and these things had utility beyond just we getting together and eating and dancing for the day. The utility was often making sure that the storehouses were packed so that during the rest of the season we're okay. You know, and that's what began to bother me about many holidays is that that was the language we were using, but that wasn't the activity. Holidays in this country has become every man for himself, except for the random acts of kindness that people do. But by far and large, there's just not enough of those. I know because I was one of those random act of kindness persons. I was always looking for somebody to feed on the holidays. I was always looking for something that our church could do for the holidays. And you would have thought that every time that was happening, there just would have been a long list of people who were ready to get involved. That's not how this shit works. Most cases, there was nobody interested until it got popular. Then it got popular, and everybody want to say, "Yeah, we done been here the whole time." You know, uh, but and this part wasn't in my notes, but yes, holidays are a great opportunity, or us having important days is a great opportunity for us to reacclimate ourselves with the naturalistic intent, the naturalistic origin of many of these festivals, you know, because they had practical utility that went beyond just social cohesion, which is important. And that's much of what we're going to talk about today is the social cohesion part. That is important, but even beyond social cohesion, there was also an aspect of economic sustainability and economic viability. That aspect was there. And that's what I began to realize about many of the holidays is that we were many of these feasts and stuff, especially the Christian ones, because I'm looking at the political economics that these things represented from a biblical view, and in which means every time these people engaged these holidays from the perspective of the literature, they were strengthening their collective. But hmm, all right, so watch this. When we engage these now, our modern version of these things, we are strengthening our collective, but our collective is so sick that strengthening it doesn't strengthen us. So, yes, by spending a lot of money, that is great for America's economy. But there is no mandatory redistribution effort of those spendings in any way that is in what's the word that I want to use? That is any way that is, damn it, I can't think of the word, but equal, parallel, something like that shit. Parallel with the amount that went in, you know. And so this boost that the American economy gets between December and April, which the April one is weird, right? Because as soon as you get that money, you give it right back, you know. But this boost that happens, that takes place, stimulates the American economy, damn near aggressively. But there is no streamlined or um, damn it, I almost thought of the word, and because I'm still looking for that fucking word. But there's no streamline or redistribution of any of those funds in proportion. There we go. In proportion to the same vigor that those funds were stimulating the economy. You know, that's where the false balance is. And so then, while yes, the American economy does great, by far and large, there is a segment, a large segment of our population who cannot afford to participate and are doing so anyway. We used to call this keeping up with the Joneses. The problem is we never told people that keeping up with the Joneses is indeed the American way. It's the engine that drives our version of capitalism. That's where the everybody deserves a Christmas come from. Everybody deserves what the Joneses have. Keeping up with the Joneses. You deserve to have what the Joneses have. You know? And so it keeps people in debt. I wish my family could not afford to do Christmas. Like I'm talking about the family I was raising. They could not afford. I wish they would have never done it. I wish at least 5 heads in my family would have never participated in Christmas at all and instead would have chosen an alternative that perhaps just in our case, now I'm not even talking about secular humanity stuff. We'll come back to that. I'm just talking about little black folk, all right? Little black kids growing up poor. I wish they would have instead just take all that money you're going to spend for Christmas and please put it in an account for me. You know? Because my life had to start in debt because I had family members that had shit in my name dating back to since I was 7. You know what I'm saying? That's how you can help me. Like, that little Ninja Turtle toy is fucking gone, bruh. It's gone, But please be honest. Let me be clear that I understand that everybody doesn't feel that way. To be clear, I don't have any attachment to holidays. I never did, even when I was a Christian. So that's why stuff like that would have been just so easy for me. If my family would have ever came to me and said, "Hey, we're gonna not do Christmas for a while. Instead, we're gonna put money in the bank for y'all college fund," I'd have been like, "Oh, thank you. That is awesome." And then every year for Christmas, we're going to sit down and talk about how important, managing your life is and picking your goals and determining the closer we get to it's time for you to go to college. We'll talk about whether you're going to go to college, start a business, or move to Aruba or something. Whatever. I'd appreciate that. I often think that in many times, some of these situations, and this is why I say this is a great opportunity for secular communities to retool the purpose of these important days, to actually restore them with some social utility, some economic utility, because then this becomes yet another way that we can continue to accelerate the growth of secularism, but towards a more intentional communal secularism that ties sacred individualism back into the importance of sacred space as well. And I'm using sacred sort of tongue in cheek here, but my point here is that individualism is important. So we don't want to run the gamut of just saying, no, individualism is the problem, because that's where many people are tempted to go to say, oh, we can't do community because we're all individuals. That's not the case. It is 100% possible to be individuals while also being tied into a community, which is why we do so much work in our community of reinforcing our members' sense of authenticity, agency, and autonomy, because we have to be able to tie those things together. That makes a stronger community. A community of people who do not have strength in themselves as individuals versus a community of people who do have strength in themselves and confidence in themselves as individuals. The people with the strength win. You know what I'm saying? You know. So, all right, let's let's continue. So, but the human light or humanist celebrations, this allows people to celebrate shared human ideals, community progress, and moral aspirations. Instead of bowing out of end of year festivities, I think I read this part, but I'm reading it again. Participants reinforce solidarity and positive values as a global human family. And I think that's the thing that I was not planning on when I sat down to record this video and when I started pulling together these notes, is that I wasn't thinking that us looking for secular alternatives to what has become holy days would lead the conversations of, ooh, whatever alternatives we find could possibly be bridges to global celebrations. So let's be mindful of that. I like that I like that level of thinking. Like that's my kind of foolishness. You know what I'm saying? So, but the next one is secular gift days or family days. Um, and it's designating a day or several days to exchange gifts, share meals, or simply gather as family and friends, minus the religious connotations. For many, year's end is a natural time to reflect on the past and look forward to the future. By holding gatherings that capture the warmth and generosity traditionally associated with Christmas, but without tying to faith-based claims, these celebrations maintain cultural continuity and mutual caring. And I like that. It's just a gift day. We having gift day today, or just family day. But I do, again. I like the idea of the exchanging gifts and sharing meals. And what I'd encourage people to do, because this is something that, and this is advice just from my activism and advocacy days, that I've advised people in the Black community to do. And honestly, again, when I sat down to pull these notes together, that's not what I was thinking. That's not what I was thinking about highlighting, but I was telling, I'd been telling Black communities that they needed to rethink how they were doing family get togethers, because we were wasting our time and we were wasting our resources. If we know we have all of these problems in the family, and these are financial problems, these are, emotional problems, these are resource problems at the end of the day, then why aren't we using these times that we come together yearly to solve our own problems? Like, we can still eat food, we can still listen to music, we can still have a good time, but why can't we decide that planning for a stronger future is also a good fucking time? That's a good time to me. I get excited when I think about the possibilities, especially when I know that we have people at the table who are, yeah, we all gonna be pulling our part. Oh, I am fucking ecstatic. I it bothers me that that's not fun to some people. Honestly, and you're coming back to some of my days where I've had to have some hard talks with community leaders and participants. It's like, honestly, some of the conditions that exist in certain of our communities exist because of the things that we define as fun. I'm like, until solving the problem is fun for somebody, that shit ain't gonna get done. You know what I'm saying? And I got to a point where I decided I just changed. I just decide what's fun for me. It don't have to be fun for everybody else. And what is fun for me is stuff that's productive. But again, I'm a pragmatist, and I might be a little extreme with this shit. Which I don't feel bad about, because I don't feel the need to be any fucking body else. Like, no, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like in all love, in all love, in all love. Fuck you, motherfucker. I don't feel the need to be anybody else. And I hope that you have that same freedom. That you don't feel the need to be me, that you don't hear me and all my hyper productive shit and be like, oh shit, I ain't doing nothing. I mean, now if you feel that way and that's how you feel, then feel what you feel, player, and get the fuck up and get on and do what you need to do. But if you're listening to it and you just like, oh hell no, I ain't about to do that, then that's just it's not you because you shouldn't have to do that. That's me. That's just one of my rabbit trails because it's one of those things that's really important to me. And we actually kind of talked about this today in our Sunday sessions. Is that you just got to find you, and we have to stop looking at other people to be a mirror for our lives because I can't be your mirror. My life doesn't exist for you. I don't allow anybody else to vicariously live through me. So like when people are coming and they're like, "Oh man, I love you better if you shaved your beard." Fuck you. No, my beard doesn't exist for you. And I want y'all to understand when I say fuck you, I don't mean that in any mean way because just words don't mean anything. Like if I said forget you, it would be the exact same sentiment. So get the fuck over yourselves. But I do mean that. Like it's literally like, no, fuck you, because I'd hope that you stop doing shit like that because nobody else needs to change how they look to make you feel more comfortable looking at them. What the fuck is wrong with you? Privileged much? You know? But those are things that we all do, you know. My aversion comes from growing up wearing glasses. You know, I've been wearing glasses my whole life. So what do you think? What do you think females have always said to me? Even when I was a chubby motherfucker. Oh my God, you look so much better without your glasses. Number one, no, I won't, because my eye is gonna go all the way over here by its damn self. Okay. You think it floats when the glasses is on. Wait till these motherfuckers come off. So stop. And number two, like, what the fuck is wrong with your vision where just these clear ass glasses obstructs you seeing me? No, I don't want to. You blinded in me. Like, what the fuck? No. And then number three, my face doesn't exist for you. Like it just doesn't. Like in my older age, I'm just embracing my neurospicy, and I think that's what it is with all old folks. Because I used to say, man, old folks they just get old and just stop giving a damn. You know what I'm saying? They just stop giving a damn. They finally start saying whatever the fuck is on their mind, and they really don't care who they offend. And I think that's them embracing their neurospicy. I'm just gonna be me, goddammit. I done lived long enough to realize can't nobody do what you gonna do. Try to beat my ass? I wish you would. I wish you would come over here and try to beat this ass. You know, that's what happens when you grow up with the way that I grew up. So you get a lot of characters that live in your head because you've seen so much shit. You've seen so many conversations. Like I have this line that lives in my head. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. And this was at a Bible study at somebody's house when I was traveling with a local minister who I'm guessing looking back, I realized he was trying to start his church, so he was doing Bible studies in people's houses, and a fight broke out, and somebody was about to get stabbed, and I think the guy with the knife was yelling like, "Don't you do it!" And I guess the "don't you do it" was don't you say whatever the fuck you about to say. If you say it, I'll cut you. Now I gotta cut you. You know. One day we're gonna start giving out money, and I'm just gonna like, who can guess what scene that is from? Because I do a lot of movie quips and show quips and shit. Like you deliberately disobeyed me. Somebody's gonna know where that's from. All right, so I do like this, you know, and for many, yep, I read that part. Yeah, look to the past. Okay, yeah. All right, so the next one. This one is a little more close to me. Hmm. And this was actually how I got into the spirit of looking for secular holidays. Because this was a holiday that was introduced to me because I'm an African American, so I've known about it for a very long time. But it wasn't until after I deconverted that I allowed myself to reacclimate myself with it, and that is Kwanzaa, which is celebrated from, or celebrated or commemorated or engaged, participated. Um, and that's what I do like about what I do like about Kwanzaa, even though I will be clear, there is controversy around the founder. All right, so I am not talking about the founder. I'm talking about Kwanzaa and the principles. What I do like about Kwanzaa is that it is not necessarily meant to be a celebration. Um, while it can be celebratory, that's not what it's meant to be. It's not just, hey, happy Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa. It's more of a call to action. Oh, I love that. It's a call to action. It's a call to assembly. Oh, I like that too. Call to action. So you got to assemble before you action. I need another A, but so that's kind of what Kwanzaa is. So which is it's a celebration of African heritage and unity. It's observed from December 26th to January 21st, and it's January 1st. Sorry, it's a week-long cultural festival that originates in the African American community. Kwanzaa draws inspiration from African harvest celebrations, emphasizing seven core principles: unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith, also known as Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Kuumba, and Imani. And the idea is to strengthen cultural identity, community bonds, and social progress. While it involves symbolic rituals and lighting the Kanara, which is the candle holder, Kwanzaa is not tied to any religious doctrine. Instead, it's dedicated to empowering individuals to reflect on cultural values and shared responsibility. And our family does kind of recognize, well, I say kind of, our family does recognize Kwanzaa. We just can't ever afford to do all of the decorations and stuff, which we've wanted to do. But then we also wanted the autonomy for us to be able to kind of create our own celebrations and our own rituals and our to create our own meaning while also being able to share these moments with other people, you know. So the struggle then becomes for people who identify with Kwanzaa is then it becomes difficult to find other people who identify with Kwanzaa. The struggle with people who want to do just the human light thing is you struggle to find other people who are also doing those things. And ultimately, as we're all choosing things to do, especially those of us who are choosing things to do, because all of us aren't, those things are going to become more varied and varied and varied. And eventually, we'll all be celebrating, commemorating, or recognizing in our own little silos, not knowing about each other, which is likely the opposite of what we want. Which is why I've spent time thinking about this, and it's why I'm very interested in this conversation, because I'm thinking that there has to be a way that we can have things that are locally specific and globally generic. And I think we've kind of stumbled upon that already, especially with stuff like the um, winter and summer solstice, these harvest celebrations, these attaching these things back to to their more naturalistic roots, because these things do still impact us. By the way, that's actually what birthed this community experiment. The first Sunday session we had on this YouTube channel was on Easter Sunday this year. And it was based around the idea of us engaging these different holidays during these seasons, because some secular people feel uncomfortable even trying to have something to celebrate or recognize around the same time, because you kind of feel like somehow superstitions own this, and that's just not the case. These things are naturally, these things originated naturally, and the superstition was added later. It's an unnecessary preservative that we can go ahead and remove from the ingredients. It's like hot pockets. They used to come in the little sleeve. Remember the little sleeve for the hot pockets? You had to have them in the little space blanket. You remember hot pockets had to be in the space blanket to go in the microwave? You remember the space blankets. They don't need those anymore. It's an unnecessary preservative. They don't come in there anymore. You know what I'm saying? They don't, because it's not necessary. That's how superstitions are with holidays. We can still have these important days Um, but I think what we can do with these things is locally, in house, in home, in community, you can have specific designations. But I think we need to leave room for more generic global designations so that it increases the amount of people who can participate. You know what I'm saying? Which I think we're already doing, and the biggest way you do that is just take up the most time. You know what I'm saying? Christmas is just a day. Kwanzaa is a whole week. Just take the whole month of December. Outdo all these motherfuckers. No, you got 12 days of Christmas. We got 31 days of peoplemas. Peoplemas. Humanmas. Usmas. 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 Wemas. That there's jokes waiting in that one. We're gonna go back to Usmas. Wemas is but Usmas, All right, so um Kwanzaa provides a vital space for people, particularly those of African descent, to celebrate their heritage, reflect on communal values, and foster unity. It stands as an example of a meaningful year end celebration that focuses on social justice, cultural pride, and collective responsibility, elements that often go missing in religiously driven holidays. By centering on ethics, cooperation, and ancestral legacies, Kwanzaa enriches the secular landscape, offering a structured way to commemorate identity and perseverance without invoking a deity. And I think if more of you will take a look at Kwanzaa, you will probably realize that Kwanzaa is likely one of the most valid secular holidays that we have, in the sense that it is intensely humanist at core. And it is about collective work and responsibility. And to me, some of these celebrations just seem like a reason to do the exact same things that holidays became before. And that's just a reason to spend money and feel good about it. Which, me personally, if I'm going to do something that's supposed to be meaningful, I need it to have real meaning. And so Kwanzaa for me, I love the meaning behind its principles, and I have a sneaky suspicion that as more secular communities who are seeking alternatives for holidays, um, who are not a part of the African American culture or the Pan African community, I think quite a few people will look to Kwanzaa um, as almost a blueprint, a framework of how to make ritual meaningful. The only thing Kwanzaa was truly missing was organizational infrastructure, but it was meaningful enough that it's a very young holiday, and it has spread like wildfire, you know. But so its local utility for local groups is beautiful, and it does have some global utility when the, they don't get to lean into it a lot, because a lot of the groups who recognize Kwanzaa are not fucking well organized. And I'm not just talking about internally, I'm talking about with each other, to make this shit a more meaningful. But I do think the secular community can learn quite a bit about how Kwanzaa came to be and why it is structured the way that it is, because Kwanzaa comes out of this sense of Black nationalism, this sense of Pan Africanism, this sense of regrounding self, this sense of separating self from the cultural norms that are not conducive with who you are as a person, and what your lived experiences are. This holiday was crafted to help individuals reground themselves in their culture, in their families, and in their community, and refocus on things again like self determination. Like, what do I want to do with my life? Because, mind you, this was one of the things that really became out of the 60s from a lot of black scholars, African American scholars, was the idea that a lot of the necessary basic frameworks that African Americans needed to ever be culturally independent, or even politically independent or economically independent, were non-existent. I think it was Dr. John Henrik Clark in his very last speech, who I think he said, "I think we may have shouted nation building too soon." You know, and it was him coming to terms with, and he was someone that worked very closely with Malcolm X. Actually, him and Malcolm were supposed to be delivering the exact same speech that day in two different locations when Malcolm was assassinated. Um, but the realization that he came to is that we had leapfrogged, which is a word you hear me use a lot. Now, it's not a word he used, it's the word I use. That we were talking about doing all of these big things, and we hadn't done the minor things, you know. Um, and, for him, he took it down. He's like, we don't even make draws, you know. He said, if America decided it wanted to stop selling black people draws, we'd be out here drawless. But that's a whole nother discussion. But that becomes that became pivotal in the development of things like Kwanzaa. It became pivotal in seeing an increase in pictures of a black Jesus. That stuff comes out of those conversations where people finally realize we're fighting this battle, many of these battles on such a big front that we haven't looked at all of the small things that are actually kicking our ass. And so, yes, they're showing up to our rallies, but then when they go back to church, they're looking at the big old posters of white Jesus. That's their authority figure. And we're trying to tell them not to trust their authority figure. That's a problem. So you need their authority figure to look like them in order for them to feel that their authority figure cares about the things that they care about. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, they see themselves as the ugly stepchild and can always rationalize why their treatment is the natural order of things. You start thinking about things like this. I started thinking about how many of the holidays in America benefit America, but not our community because we're separated from economic participation. And it's not just because of systemic racism, it's also because of the lack of an economic floor, which systemic racism plays a major role in that motherfucker, you know. But there are other things at play too that people don't like me talking about, which I typically don't give a fuck. I'm gonna always tell the truth as much as I can, and then I'll either be wrong or I'll be right. That's how that shit is gonna go. Um, so Kwanzaa is one that I like because I think because of the work the work that it was done in consideration of, it is likely one of the most humanist types of celebrations that we have, and has much more of an intention behind it, other than other celebrations where it's just said, well, we just want to do something the same time they doing something, you know. And so I do like that, and I'm not saying that I think the secular communities are all going to do Kwanzaa. I don't think that's advisable. I can see people being called culture vultures. I wouldn't necessarily call that. I mean, that's a slippery slope. That's like Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man. At the end of the day, we're all culture vultures. That's just the whole damn truth. But I just think that framework is going to be helpful. That when whatever secular alternatives we come up with, let's make them intentional. Let's not just dive right back headfirst into consumerism. I mean, still buy nice things, sure. I mean, if you're gonna get me a gift, make that motherfucker nice. Um, which I think Kwanzaa may have missed it on that one a little bit, but let me stop. But the point is, have some intention there. I didn't expect this video to go as long as this did, but I always say that, but I guess I have more to talk about stuff than I thought, because I only have like 3 pages of notes here, and I'm already at the 50, 55, or yeah, I'm at the hour mark. So just one more. There's various cultural traditions from various backgrounds. Um, um, you can embrace global end of year traditions like the Japanese custom of year end cleansing, cleaning. Um, which think I think we kind of do that. I think we kind of did that in the South too. The house has to be clean before New Year's. Or Nordic Yule celebrations, focusing on aspects that aren't religious but communal, environmental, or personal growth oriented. And this approach acknowledges that the desire to celebrate at this time of year is widespread and not confined to religion. Borrowing and blending traditions can enrich community life and personal identity, providing a holiday season experience that feels inclusive and meaningful. And again, that the meaningful thing is the important part for me, because I think if we know the whys, then the blending and stuff will happen organically. We know why we're doing it, and that's why I said, when it's local, like for your home, it can be incredibly specific. But I think the more it goes out, it really just needs to be our winter celebration. And so that way, everybody who has a winter celebration can participate. And that way, when you're planning it and all of the participants, you can have however you're doing your celebration, and we're talking about for larger groups now, like what you're doing at home is what you're doing at home. But for larger groups, it's typically going to be music and food. And so you want inclusive music and inclusive food. That's that big point. Don't nobody just want to be seeing rice cakes. Okay. I thought I should put that out there. Just let you know. All right. So why not just ignore the holidays altogether? Which I think I've given some pretty good, reasons so far. But first, human beings have celebrated the turning of seasons for millennia. And again, that's naturalistic. The end of the calendar year often represents a natural pause, school breaks, workplace slowdowns, and communal rest. Having a culturally recognizable alternative allows people to mark this transition productively rather than letting it pass unacknowledged. And to me, that's kind of just about having a commitment to actually live life on purpose. If I'm going to be living this life, I might as well be making the most of it. And so, if there is this time where everything else is conveniently slowed down, why not take this time to reinvest back into family and community and do that in a way that actually makes me stronger for the next go around? So, acknowledging seasonal markers is a great reason, but then also maintaining social bonds. The holiday season is a time when many people reunite with loved ones. Ignoring it completely could mean missing out on opportunities for connection, generosity, and emotional support. Secular celebrations provide a shared framework for gathering together, even when the religious reasons aren't a factor. And then also, by offering recognized secular traditions, communities send a message that non religious individuals also have a place in cultural festivities. This fosters inclusivity, ensuring that those who don't subscribe to religious beliefs don't feel excluded from broader social traditions. And then year end gatherings often help people process the year's events, express gratitude, and renew hope for the future. Without any structured celebrations, some may feel adrift or isolated. Secular alternatives often offer a supportive environment to close out the year on a positive community driven note. So, one of the things that I realized several years ago is that I don't have any attachment to most of this stuff. And I realized I don't need to. Holidays, festivals, festivities, they're not always things that we do for ourselves, it's things that we do for others. If we know that there are people who are in need of that type of community, that type of support, if we can be bright enough to know that there are going to be people who, for the first time in their lives, because they've deconverted, they're going to be separated from their families during this type of year, we should be able to speculate on what that type of trauma is going to feel like. And I can promise you this, the more people who have to experience that with no options, the less people who are likely to stay on this side of critical thought. Social pressure is powerful, you know? And so we, again, this is my spiel and I'm sticking with it. We have an obligation to create community. And in creating these communities, we can create some alternatives that make it easier for people not to be left out in the cold. In essence, secular alternatives to Christmas are not about removing celebration, but reclaiming it. They allow people to honor community ties, cultural rhythms, and the human desire for connection and renewal. Rather than stepping away entirely, these alternatives ensure that everyone, regardless of belief, can participate in meaningful year-end traditions that nurture empathy, understanding, and a shared sense of belonging. So I hope you all have enjoyed this conversation today. I've definitely enjoyed having it, especially since I've turned 3 pages of notes into 1 hour of a whole hour of conversation. But I hope this gives you something to chew on as you're going through the holiday season. And I'd be interested to hear what is your approach to Christmas now that you've deconverted, or maybe you're in the middle of deconstruction. How are you wrestling with Christmas? How has it changed your family dynamics? How has it changed your mental health dynamics? How are you feeling around this time of the year? And how can secular community help you during this time? All right, so that's all I have for now. And make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell. Consider joining, connecting, or supporting this channel, community, or content in any way that makes sense for you. And then, of course, share this with somebody. Share this video with somebody that you think it would have a positive impact on. And then check out our products and check out our books. We got merch, we got books, we got everything. Check it out. I love y'all. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, keep rising, stay progressive, and stay beautiful if you can. I'll holla.